What's going on, guys? Brett and Steven here. You obviously just seen our video on Yair Rodriguez against Jeremy Stephens on UFC Fight Night, October 18th. We wanted to take another minute to talk about the main event in that fight card, which is between Chris Weidman against Dominick Reyes. And as you guys know, Chris Weidman is the former middleweight champion at 185 pounds. He is now moving up to 205 pounds in a light heavyweight bout against an up-and-comer, undefeated fighter at 11-0, Dominick Reyes.
Dominick Reyes has been looking like a killer. He's sharp with his striking, and people want to see him or Johnny Walker fight for that belt soon. Both of these kids are studs and up-and-coming, like you said. Chris Weidman's weathered. He's been a champion.
Yep.
But he's kind of been on the wrong end of some of these.
Yep. He's been on the struggle bus. I mean,
Yeah.
he's had a few fights that technically, kind of weren't his fault, really. It's like he looks really good, and I was watching him talk today. He looks really, really good, and then he gets hit with some crazy shot, like a flying knee from Yo Romero, and he looks so polished and so good. His wrestling's so good. His strikings came a long way, and then he gets hit with something crazy. I'd say within his last 5 fights, he's batting probably about 500. Don't quote me on that, but anyways, Weidman, ran through the middleweight division for a while. He beat Anderson Silva twice. He defended his belt, I think, 3 times. But he's going against a different animal, and light heavyweight, dude, is just a different world up there. Guys are a lot bigger. They're a lot longer. And Dominick Reyes just looks like a refreshing dude to the light heavyweight division. We've seen John Jones run through that. Now we got Dominick Reyes. We got Johnny Walker. We got some new faces in the division that look really good. And I just don't know if Weidman can handle Reyes' striking. I think it's that simple. I think Weidman has always been a great wrestler. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. But if there's one thing with Weidman that is kind of a question mark, it's been his striking. And it's come a long way.
His striking isn't terrible, though.
It's come a long way, but now you're at a different weight class to where those one shots, they pack a little bit more of a punch.
I'm going to go on the opposite end of the spectrum. We've seen Dominick Reyes show off his striking, show how good he is at striking, his distance. He's good at hitting you wherever he wants, when he wants. But we haven't really seen him on the ground much.
Right.
I mean, his ground game. Chris Weidman might want to go in there and utilize that ground game and take him to the ground. So this might open up some doors for us to see how good Dominick Reyes is on the ground.
Well, and Weidman might be quicker. He might be the more agile, quicker fighter at light heavyweight because he's always fought middleweight. He's used to cutting all that weight. He might go in feeling fresh. He doesn't have to cut a lot of weight. He might be faster. His hand speed might be faster. And he might be able to really initiate the takedown and do some great ground and pound with all that new, they say that when you cut weight, you lose a lot of your
fluids and stuff in your brain. Yeah.
Right.
So it's easier to get knocked out and
you get tired faster, stuff like that. So
you're just exerting your body, just like pushing it to the brink,
Right. So by not cutting all that weight, we don't know what Weidman's going to look like. But I really don't think Weidman's going to do very well at light heavyweight. My personal opinion is Weidman's getting up there in age. He might be seeing the back nine of his career. That weight cut might be getting a lot harder to make now. And he's just saying, hey, let's roll the bones and see what happens.
And we've seen him struggle against bigger fighters like Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold's a bigger fighter. I mean, he just recently moved up and got knocked out. So what's that say about Chris Weidman moving up when he couldn't even outpower or outstrength a guy like Luke Rockhold,
I agree. And I think it's always a tough situation when you've fought your whole career at one weight class and then you try to move up or move down. And in my opinion, I don't know if other people agree with this, but when I see fighters kind of changing those weight classes and moving around, it's almost kind of like they're unsure. Like, I don't know if I can do well here. Let's try here. Well, I don't know if I can do well here. Let's try here.
See, this might be a little too late. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I feel like it's good when fighters are growing into their body and they move up in weight because that weight cut gets harder. Like Robert Whittaker, what I mean? He's 28. He moved up in weight young because his body was just growing.
Right.
Henry Cejudo. We've just seen a lot of scenarios of these fighters moving up, and they do good when they move up. You know what I mean?
Conor McGregor moved up.
Conor McGregor. There's a whole list of fighters that have moved up and done good. But we've also seen those examples of people moving up and just being outpowered and out, you know what I mean?
Right. Well,
like Luke Rockhold.
Yeah, Luke Rockhold. And I think another good example is when Anthony Pettis started struggling and losing. He was a 55er. Well, then he lost a few. Well, then he's like, I want to go down to 45. Then he lost at 45. Well, then he goes, you know what? I want to jump up to 170. Well, then he lost at 170. So it's just like, in my mind, when fighters start skipping weight classes and moving around, it's almost like they're uncertain and they're trying to kind of throw a dart and hope it sticks. And I just don't think that's a good look for Weidman. Not only, but now in the back nine of your career, now you're moving weight classes, and maybe he is not half in, half out, but you're going against a killer in Dominick Reyes, who's young, who's hungry, who's longer, who's bigger. Surprisingly, he has an inch less of reach, so maybe that'll help, Weidman. But it's just, you can't make up youth. Father Time is undefeated in every sport ever, and I just don't see it happening. So let's get to the nitty gritty once again.
Man, so I'm a huge fan of Dominick Reyes and what he's done and his skills that he showcased so far. His last fight versus Ozdemir was really close, and people actually thought Ozdemir may have won that fight, and that may have been the chink in the armor that people are looking for, like, to discredit Dominick Reyes. But personally, I feel like that was to fight through a fight like that. He's showing he has heart and he has that grit, and I feel like you need fights like that to grow and know, like, no, there's more levels to this I need to get to. And I hope we see even better Dominick Reyes, and I'm going to go with Dominick Reyes.
All right. Well, I am not going to make it spicy because I'm going with Dominick Reyes too. I love Chris Weidman. I think, he's done a lot of great things in the sport, and he seems like a genuine dude. I want to see him do well, and if he won, I wouldn't be upset. But I'm not going to pick with my heart. I'm going to pick with my head, and I think Dominick Reyes' striking is too good. He's got youth on his side. He's undefeated. He's got that swag about him. And I think Weidman, even though he might not say it, I think there's a little bit of doubt in his head. I think he's kind of on the back nine of his career. He's been on the struggle bus lately, and I think it just is a matter of time for Reyes, with that aggression that he has, to just kind of overwhelm Weidman, and it just takes one shot at light heavyweight, and we've seen that multiple times. One shot can end it. So I'm going Dominick Reyes. Steven's going Dominick Reyes, which it's weird. We always seem to pick the same guys.
Always. I mean, yeah.
So it's like I want to keep it spicy so that way we're not just on the same page. But then again, like every time I do that, it's like I wanted to pick him, and then it's like, oh, you didn't want to pick him.
We'll keep it spicy when it's a coin flip in our head. When it's like we're leaning both ways, so we'll split it on it. Those ones. Right.
So anyways, guys, let us know in the comments below who you got. Do you think Weidman's on the back nine, or do you think I'm just crazy for thinking that? Dominick Reyes is an up-and-comer. Have you guys seen him? If you have, what do you think of him?
Yeah, and Weidman might be coming into this fight with a chip on his shoulder, and who knows? He might come out like a bat out of hell,
He could, and I hope he does. Yeah. I have nothing against, Weidman, so I hope he does well. But we got a few really good months of fights coming up, mixed with some free ones, some Fight Pass.
And I'm kind of liking how people are jumping weight classes a little bit. I know you said it's like a lack of confidence, whatnot. I kind of wish more fighters would try to find their weight and where they feel comfortable, because a lot of these guys who are smaller are doing good against these bigger dudes moving up in weight, you know?
Well, I'm all like Henry Cejudo. I'm all fine with that. You're the champion. You've kind of ran through everybody. Let's go to the next. I'm perfectly fine with
Kelvin
that.
Gastelum could easily make middleweight, but is he at light heavyweight now? No, he's at middleweight.
He's at middleweight.
Welter. Okay, he could easily make welterweight. He carries a bunch of fat on him, and he moves up to middleweight, and he's been a killer there.
Yep. I agree. It's you got to find your natural weight at some point in your career, but whenever you drop 3 or 4 fights and then you just make, my coaches and I decided to move to a different weight, it's like, well, you kind of don't think you can do well anymore.
We don't know how hard his weight cut was either. You know what I mean? How much it was draining him.
Maybe he is a natural, really big guy. Maybe most people that know him are like, dude, how do you make that weight? You need to fight light heavyweight. We'll find out next week.
That old school wrestling mentality, too. A lot of those people, a lot of the wrestlers cut a lot of weight because it's what they're used to. So, maybe his natural weight is up one weight class.
Maybe. We'll find out next week. So let us know in the comments below, and thank you for tuning in.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.